Hey guys, it's 1 year since the last Espresso Martini Festival in London, and although we can't do that because of distancing regulations this year, I thought it'd be nice to celebrate, and I'm going to show you how to make the perfect Espresso Martini. The Espresso Martini is an absolute classic drink. Came about in the late 80s, and since then it has just grown and grown in popularity, to the point it's probably one of the most popular drinks that we serve in the bar today, and everyone absolutely loves it. The great thing is you get that little bit of caffeine hit with your alcohol, so if you're on a long one or end of a meal, it gives you that little bit of perk up, and it's delicious as well. Now the secret of a good Espresso Martini is the coffee. Much like life, you only get out of the shaker what you put into it. So you have to use the best ingredients. We actually use Ady coffee here at Upstairs. Ady have been our coffee supplier for about 6 months now, and they do a really, really balanced espresso, which is perfect for the Espresso Martini. You're getting the acidity and the sweet elements, the nuttiness, the fruitiness, all coming through, and you need all those elements to make a really, really good cocktail. We actually do our espresso in advance for the night, and once we've extracted this, that is good for one night. But if you're making it at home, I'd recommend you make the coffee fresh to order. If you haven't got an espresso maker and you haven't got the means to make espresso at home, don't worry. You can do a version with instant. It's not quite the same, but 1 teaspoon to 25 mils of water, dissolve it in, let it cool, and it will still get the same effect of the drink. But if you've got a proper espresso, you're going to make a really good drink. So the other two elements, we have vodka. So here we use East London Liquor Company's vodka. Really good local product, small batch made, copper still, really nice and clean and neutral. So it's not going to put any kind of taint on the flavours of the coffee, which is what the drink's all about. And finally, coffee liqueur. So we use Mr. Black. This is an Australian product. It's a cold brew coffee liqueur. Again, this is just a really, really clean flavour. No added sort of sugars or additives. It's purely the coffee that is being used to make this liqueur. But you can use Tia Maria, you can use Kahlua, whatever you've got to hand if you can't get hold of this one, but that would be my recommendation. So let's get mixing. So in your shaker, we're going to put equal parts of the vodka, the coffee, and the coffee liqueur. And it's going to be 50 ml each. Because why wouldn't you want a big one? So all that goes in. This coffee is actually still a little hot. It's literally just freshly extracted. So this is very, very similar to if you were making it at home and you've just made your own espresso. But it doesn't need to still be hot. If you put it in cold, you're still going to get a great drink because you're shaking it down with the ice. And that's going to give you the perfect temperature and just bring that heat out of the coffee straight away. So once everything's in, now a lot of people like to add sugar at this point. I'm a true believer that you should be putting sugar in an espresso martini when you're using crap coffee. If you're using a good quality product, good ingredients, the balance is there anyway. But if you do have a sweeter tooth, or you could say make it for someone with a sweeter tooth, a little sugar, it's totally to taste. We don't put sugar in our espresso martinis here at Upstairs, but if you do want it a little sweeter, just ask us, we'll always do that for you. So once all that's in, this is the really important bit. The beautiful thing with the espresso martini is that fantastic foam on top and that texture. And that is caused by the oils in the coffee, and we're basically whisking it almost like you'd whisk egg whites to make a meringue. And because that's oil-based and everything else is water-based, they separate and you get that almost like a Guinness effect with that beautiful foam on top. But to do that, we are whisking those oils, so we need to do a really, really hard shake. Got to put your neck into it, really put your back into it, give it some welly, and give it a good long 10 to 15 second shake. At this point, I give it a little circular shake, and what that does is it gets rid of the big bubbles in the foam, so you get a nice velvety textured kind of foam on top. Just like making a coffee, you don't want those big bubbles. Once all that's done, we strain it out, and whenever we're serving a drink up, we always double strain it. So we're doing it through one of these little tea sieve kind of things, and your normal strainer, and that goes straight into the glass. And you can see how that's already separating and starting to settle, like I said, just like a pint of Guinness almost. So you get that beautiful velvety texture on top. And finally, this is where the tradition comes in. We garnish with some coffee beans. And it's always to be 3. Now, I was told it goes back to an old Chinese proverb, and they represent health, wealth, and happiness. My Italian friends tell me it's the Son, the Father, and the Holy Ghost, but there you go. Depends where you are. But this tradition, it's always been 3, almost a superstition, if you will. And that is our perfect upstairs martini with espresso. Enjoy, guys.